This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Keen Ice has got him! Keen Ice has won the Travers over American Pharoah in a dramatic upset. The Graveyard of Champions has claimed another.
Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Racecourse, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. And Woodbine Racetrack. Pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Wednesday morning as we kick off another week live at Clare Court. You can see the horses working out behind us and really enjoying nice weather today. The humidity has come down. The temperatures come down as well. Very comfortable here at Saratoga. Should be a great day at the races. On today's show, a little bit later on, Teresa Genaro will jump in. Our weekly look at the calendar of events coming up this week. Dan Collins from Bonaventure Stables will give us a little update on their partnership situation. They had a nice win earlier in the meet with Majestic Bonnie. She'll come back. They have a first-time starter aimed for this meet as well. We'll get a little update on their partnership. And our buddy Ernie Munick will join us towards the end of the show. We'll do a little handicapping today with Ernie, looking forward to that. And we'll do a little handicapping now as well on the jump side of things. As always on a Wednesday, it's one of the Clancy brothers. This morning it's Sean. Good morning, Sean. Good morning. Good to be here. From the Saratoga Special, of course. And give us a little update because I know you guys are kind of capping a big week last week, sales week, which I know you're gearing up and all week long, but you had a day off this week, right?
Yeah, we had 2 days off, Monday and Tuesday, which was nice. Caught up on a few things. I actually slept 12 hours the other night, which was about as much sleep as I got all of sales week. So we're ready to go now. So sales week's kind of the turning point. Once you get through that, then you kind of take a deep breath and say, okay, 3 more weeks, and we've done 20 issues of 13 to go. But who's counting?
Exactly. And your cover on the Sunday edition was great, the washout cover, which I was going to say probably gave you a few extra hours on Saturday, but with something like that, I'm supposing it's kind of big news. Maybe it didn't give you the extra
well, we
time.
just suddenly had about 8 pages of nothing. We kind of went, whoa, what are we going to do here? Because we're counting on results, we're counting on results pictures, we're counting on a stakes recap, a full day's recap. And it was about 3 o'clock, and we're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So we adjusted it. I love the. My brother did this. I was actually a reader the next morning, and I opened the papers. We do a win picture of every race as the picture. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Horses crossing the finish line, and then the 6th picture are the tractors floating the track, like they won the 6th. And so we had a good laugh, but we survived it. It was funny. I was about to go to the races. They canceled that as well. Guess I won't go to the races. Then I was about to go to the sale, and they canceled that. So all day, we ended up sitting in the office. We were in the office from about 10 to 10. We walked out, Tom, Law, Joe, and my brother and I, we walked out like, whoa, did it rain?
Well, you lucked out. I'm down at Boston Spa, and I didn't have to do TV Saturday morning, so I'm watching the first few races. 5th race goes up, I think, get in the car and go. Yeah, so I missed the announcement. I'm in gridlock out on Union Avenue. I'm like,
yeah, exactly. It was an interesting
2 minutes too late, too early. But it was a freakish kind of all part of the lore of Saratoga.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we put it up there with the hurricane, the blackout. Remember when we had the blackout up here one year? We actually ran our computers off a neighbor's generator and printed the paper that night. So we've lived through everything over 16 years.
There's always a story at Saratoga. All right, let's talk some of the jumpers. And let's go back to last week and just do a little recap of last week's little stakes race. The Mrs. Ogden Phipps on Thursday. And your brother Joe was in here on Thursday. And we both, I think, were kind of tilting towards the Europeans who, and I'll get your opinion, the Europeans you'd normally think have more class than ours, but maybe the past couple of seasons I haven't necessarily tilted towards them. But in that Mrs. Ogden Phipps, I thought both of them were kind of intriguing. They both scratch out. But just before we look at the race, your opinion on the Europeans coming
It all depends on what they've done over there. I mean, I buy a lot of horses in England and Ireland, and the key is what tracks they've been running on, what kind of ground they've been running on, and the trips. So, if you see some of these horses have been going 2 5/8 or 3 miles on soft ground, and they really don't have the speed for here. So, when you're handicapping the European horses, I look for horses that have gone 2 miles, have won or run well going 2 miles, 2 1/16. Because you want a sharper horse. A lot of their tracks, you get on soft ground and up and down hills, and so you want a horse that's got enough speed. I like flat form too. I really look at the flat form and the and ability to handle 2 miles on good ground. You won't see many good to firm, but if they've handled good ground there going 2 miles, they probably have enough speed for here.
Yeah, all right. We'll keep that in mind going forward. As I say, I've kind of tilted away from them past couple of years and missed the two that looked live in here, but it wound up to be Barbara's Smile, the favorite last week, coming off of a hurdle race down at Parks, a nice win down there. She's going to wind up running fourth as the 5-2 favorite, but at 7-1 will be the number 10. Get Ready, Set, Goes. Lightly raced, only 5 career starts. Only the last 2 of those had been over the hurdles, had broken the maiden just this past May. Comes off of that the follow-up with a nice win in the Mrs. Ogden Phipps, and again to be the number 10 horse. And it looks like, again, lightly raced. This may be a nice jumper going forward.
She's a good filly. When she won at High Hope, you see it was on soft ground. She beat a good horse of Jonathan Shepard's Alcazar de Maram. She's a serious filly. She's got enough ability. Hill Parker's kind of a young guy, small guy in our game. Doesn't have a lot of horses, but he does a great job. He developed a horse named Roger Kay, who came up here and won for Todd White after Hill had sold him. I think this is a sister, actually, to Roger Kay, but he does a great job. He brought the filly up himself, put her in the trailer, brought her up. He was fretting every day about she wasn't eating, and he was all worried about it. And he puts Richard Boucher, who's 50 years old. He rides her, and they win. It's a great story. It's one for the little guys to come up here and take on the big boys. I actually had asked him. I was trying to buy the filly after she won at High Hope, and I said, "What are you going to do now?" And Hill said, "I'm going completely out of my comfort zone and going to Saratoga." And, for a guy like Hill to have confidence to come up here and then pull it off was brilliant. It was a really cool story. Nice filly. His mom bred the horse, and she passed away. This is really the last one she bred, and great story. And she's a serious filly.
Yeah, she looks good. Again, lightly raced, but now a couple of wins and only 3 starts over the jumps, including on Mrs. Ogden Phipps. And you see a guy like that on board, do you itch to maybe get back out there?
No, definitely not.
Who was the guy a couple of years ago who was doing like one ride a year, and he had the
Arch Kings doing it occasionally, and I was like, I couldn't do it. I'm like, I don't know how anybody. Calvin Burrell announces his retirement. He's coming back. I don't know how any jockey retires and then comes back. I mean, for me, that was as definitive a move as I've ever made when I decided to retire. And there's absolutely
no way. It was in the rear view mirror, and you only watched it get further away.
I looked up in the sky. I promise you. I looked up. And I said, God, thank you very much. I'll never ask you for anything again. I'm leaving. And I only asked one really major question was when my wife was pregnant with our only son. And I looked again. I said, I know I said I'd never really ask you again, but just help me out here. So, yeah, that's how I felt about it. I was like, I'm ready to go.
I don't blame you because that is one tough profession. All right, let's talk a little bit about today. And now I have a sneaking suspicion of where you might go. I mean, you might be in the same direction I am here. Today it's an allowance, non-winners of 2 lifetime, 2 1/16 over the jumps, field of 9 in here. And when I handicapped earlier, I went for Unsinkable because Elizabeth Voss Had the same scenario with Bob LeBeau. Comes out of a flat prep down at Parks to win the Smith with Bob LeBeau. Unsinkable coming out of a flat prep, and pretty good. Led all the way around, won pretty easily there. Doyle on board, so jockeys who right up at the top of the standings this year as far as the jump jockeys. I thought Reporter was interesting, being lightly raced and winning that race on a circuit, racetrack circuit up at Suffolk last time, and Detroit Blues may be interesting to me. Also coming out of that flat prep down at Parks. We'll look at that flat prep at Parks right now. Number 1 will be Unsinkable, leads them all the way around. Again, Detroit Blues is going to be the horse that runs second in here, the number 2 horse. What are your thoughts this afternoon?
The race, it all comes down to Unsinkable. If you remember the first week, he was entered in an allowance race, and he scratched at the start. He had a real hard time at the start. He's freezing and got really stirred up. But the start had taken a long time that day. The key to him is how he's handled in the preliminaries. I mean, I wouldn't want to bet him now. I'd want to watch him going to the start, watch him in the infield, watch him walk across there. He was scratched at the start the last time because he actually ended up going over the outside hedge. I know he's like that. He has a tendency to do that. I think it'll be better this time. The start should go smoother. It really comes down to how he's behaving. He's a front runner. He's a bit of a freak. I mean, not a bit of a freak. They call him uncontrollable in the barn. So he's really high strung. Now, if you look back at his form, what I was saying before, he was third in a Group 3 in Ireland, and all the way back to some other really good races over there. So he's got plenty of flat form. Very fast. If you can trust a buyer number for a training flat race for a steeplechase, I mean, the flat race at Parks was a $25,000 purse for horses who had started over jumps with jump riders. He ran a 93 buyer that day, and so he's obviously very fast. He'll be in front. It's just a matter if he can keep the lid on before the race. Now, without the last fence, it lends itself even more to a horse like this when you don't have the last fence in the stretch. He'll be in front. He's very fast. He's a serious horse. He'll be hard to catch. I went with Duke of Medina for second. I actually bought the horse out of Europe, so I'm partial to him. I think he's the type. He's by Rocket Gibraltar. I thought he was a real kind of racetrack-looking horse. He was good going 2 miles. Then they put him in some big race, the Fred Winter at Cheltenham, which is a really big race. He was 14th there, but it was a huge field. Then he kind of tailed off a little. So I like him maybe to be second. I thought Reporter was interesting. I loved Reporter when he ran at Fair Hill, and he ran poorly, and then I gave up on him, and then he scored a 39-1 at Suffolk. I should have given him one more chance. But it's an interesting race. Unsinkable is by far the class of the race. Then it's a matter of who can finish behind him. I kind of like Duke of Medina to be second. I was a little bit surprised how well Detroit Blues ran in the flat race behind Unsinkable. He could come back and maybe perform like that again. He'd certainly be, I wouldn't talk you out of using him for sure.
You make a great point, though, given that Unsinkable is maybe a little bit of a head case. And with the jump races, you get even more time. It's worth saving your bet to get a look at how the horses, they're out there, they go through the circling around, and you'll get a good chance to look at the horse and see if maybe he's got his head screwed on right.
Oh, exactly. He was the first day they kind of went and they got a little mixed up, and it took a long time. They were circling forever, and they kind of couldn't get the order right, and you could just see him melting down, and I actually should have, the handicapping 101 is like you got to be quick to react. And when he ended up kind of going over the outside hedge and scratching, and I wasn't really thinking about it. I was just talking away, and I actually said to a guy next to me, I said, wow, that makes Kensington Court a lot better in here, because he was actually the Unsinkable was the speed of the speed. Kensington Court was the next speed horse, but I didn't like him because of Unsinkable in the race. And I said to my buddy, I said, man, that Kensington Court's got a better shot in here. And of course, Kensington Court wires him, and I'm sitting there going, why didn't I bet? I wasn't necessarily saying he was going to win, but I know he went from a 10-1 shot to a 5-1 shot with one. When Unsinkable scratched, he should have been. His odds should have been. His chances were greatly improved. So I sat there and watched that too. But
always got to think.
Exactly. I know exactly.
And I see you enough during the season to know you're one of these guys who does think on your feet. catches a lot of horses in the I say a lot, but it seems like you pick your spots. There'll be like 2 or 3 times during the season where you see one in the paddock and.
Yeah, the key for me, I won't out handicap anybody. I mean, I can't. Looking at if you and I with a form or anybody, I'm not going to out handicap you. What I can do occasionally is I see horses in the morning I like on a horsemanship angle. I see them, then try to see them in the paddock and kind of get a feel. But it's usually really late. If I'm kind of aware enough to kind of catch on to what I'm thinking, I'm pretty good at that. But if I tried to bet every day, I'd be just absolutely. You'd see me on the corner, like I'd be recycling cans, with a bicycle with all my cans, and you'd say,
so if we
remember
see
that
you,
old guy who used to do that paper?
If we see you with the shopping cart
Yeah,
and
exactly.
1,000, well,
I was betting every race. I tried to bet every race, and I blew it.
But I don't have that skill. I wish I did, because that'll give you some value. If you can look at them in the paddock and kind of that physicality, that's a skill I don't have. And you alluded to it before, and let's just touch on it, because I asked Joe at the beginning of the meet whether you were going to have any horses here. But just remind people, you talked about being kind of bloodstock for some of these and going over Europe and looking, but you also have River D.
So River D stable, we have a couple. I have a couple might run. I've one maybe in the John's Call, and then another one maybe late in the meet. So I'm hoping. I got to see if it's the right move.
All right.
I'll let you know in the paddock if I think it's a good move. Right, I'll be standing there going, oh man. We'll see.
Right,
We got a couple nice horses coming along, and hopefully we'll have some more to run.
So look for those in the owner's column. If you see River D, it's our man here, Sean Clancy. Sean, as always, appreciate the visit. Again, people can pick up the Saratoga Special on track, various places around the city, or website address for the.
This is horseracing.com. So you
right.
get all the digital editions, all our stories right there.
All archived as well. Sean, thanks a lot. We'll talk again.
Pleasure.
All right, we'll head to a break. When we come back, hey, Teresa Genaro, she's standing off the set. We'll get a calendar update. What's coming up here at Saratoga? Stay tuned.
In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today.
It's where dreams are born and champions are tested. Saratoga.
And the excitement of Saratoga is now at your fingertips at CapitalOTBBet.com. Wager any place, anytime on all your digital devices. Watch live racing, get past performances, bet online on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. Now for Saratoga, it's Bet 100, Get 100. Open a new Capital Bets account, bet $100, and get $100 cash back. And don't forget to download our new mobile app, CapitalOTBBet.com.
Can you hear it? It's the sound of excitement. Something we infuse into every grape that goes into our exceptional full-bodied wine. That was closer than I thought it would be. Now, if you'll excuse me. 14 hands, where great times are made.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Brian? Welcome back to Racing Across America. Seth Merrow in here on a Wednesday morning. And again, we're happy to be joined by our friend Teresa Genaro to get a little update on the calendar of events coming up this week. Good morning, Teresa.
Good morning, Seth.
Happy to have you on board, as always. And plenty of action to talk about in the upcoming week and beyond, because we'll get also to a week from today, because we want you to mark that on your calendar, but we'll get to that towards the end. But today, I have to remind people, it's Italian-American Day at the Saratoga Pavilion. That should be fun.
And who better to talk about it than me? Italian American Day at the Pavilion. Yep, food, a Premio Italian sausage food truck will be around. There will be beans and greens soup, which is white bean and escarole for those not of the Paisan family. Really good at the soup stand today. There'll be cannoli, there'll be pastry, traditional Italian music and dance, and children, if you head over to the Saratoga Pavilion, they'll do a little arts and crafts. You can make your own Venetian masks, so enjoy. And Peroni beer.
The pavilion is the tent out in the backyard, right?
Yes.
If folks don't know, I'm trying to think of how to...
It's on the backyard side of the grandstand up toward the top of the stretch.
Yes, that's the perfect explanation,
Yeah.
because it's on the opposite side of where the paddock is. You're going to kind
Yes.
of walk the other way from behind the grandstand. And that's where a lot of their events happen during the week, and these ethnic days happen there. Italian American Day, you got to like that. Also want to remind people that tomorrow there is a Dave Litvin handicapping seminar at Ciro's. Our friend Dave Litvin, he's doing some handicapping this summer for the Blood Horse. He's doing some work for Naira as well. But he's got a handful of seminars over at Ciro's that'll kick off at 10:45, one of them tomorrow.
Yeah, there's one tomorrow, there's one Friday, and there's also one next Thursday ahead of the Travers. Obviously, Dave Litvin doesn't need an introduction to most people. Handicapper extraordinaire, knows the horses, knows the game as well as anybody. Breakfast is also available over at Ciro's. Got to think Bloody Marys as well.
What makes you think that? The Ciro's, the Saratoga,
Yeah.
the party never stops.
Something over there. But seriously, if you want to pick up some handicapping
Yeah.
ticks, Dave Litvin is your guy.
Yeah, no question about it. He was the king of Saratoga 2 or 3 years
Yeah.
ago, and past years as well. So again, great advice. Tomorrow, Friday, and next Thursday as well. Ciro's
Yeah.
at 10:45 for Dave Litvin. And do want to toss this out there, as the Saratoga season has plenty of benefits and social occasions for charities. One that I knew you'd want to throw into the mix as a cat person. They
Yeah.
have a cat charity, cat and racing kind of combination charity event coming up on Thursday.
Yeah, what a lot of people probably don't know is that over at the Oklahoma Training Facility, there are a couple of cat colonies, and they are taken care of all year round by a woman named Michelle Jennings, who lives locally, and Quainton's House, which is an animal clinic just outside Saratoga in Greenwich. Michelle also works at the Inn at Saratoga. Wonderful old Saratoga spot. The Inn has been around forever, and on Thursday night, 25% of all food and beverage proceeds will be benefiting Quainton's House, and in turn the cats who live at the Oklahoma all year round, long after the horses and the humans have gone. It's a great spot for a good cause. So from 5 to 10 tomorrow night.
And at Saratoga, that's kitty corner to Stewart's, right?
Yes, exactly. Right across the street from the Holiday Inn.
Very good.
Downtown.
Always want to remind people, our friend Andy Serling, Thursday nights down at the Parting Glass. He does his radio show, but you are invited to go down. I've been pretty much every Thursday. I try to catch dinner down there, too. Get down early if you want dinner so you can get a seat. Order dinner, nice long communal tables, plenty of people there, standing room in the back, and there's typically a good crowd down there on Thursdays.
And literally a Hall of Fame lineup this week with Ramon Dominguez and Steve Asmussen, and Andy will be talking to them. If you didn't see the Hall of Fame ceremony last Friday, obviously Asmussen has his detractors, but there were a lot of tears being shed by him, by his wife, and by people in the audience. He gave an incredibly powerful and moving speech, and I have to think that he's going to be a great guest with Andy tomorrow night.
Will Andy throw in a Barbara Walters question that'll get him going again?
Yeah.
That will be the question. You will have to show up tomorrow night to find out.
Yeah.
But again, always a lot of fun. Parting Glass, 8 o'clock on Thursday.
And obviously Ramon Dominguez, totally class
absolutely.
guy, gone from the game way too soon. Always good to hear from him.
And a great guy.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, I wanted to toss out there, I was in the paddock Monday. I saw Rajiv Marat, who's doing well, planning a comeback, but still in kind of rehab, hasn't gotten the okay.
Yeah.
But notably, he's doing and looking really good.
Yeah, saw him last night very briefly. Spirits seem to be good. Obviously, been through something so hard, out for nearly a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was good to see.
Yeah.
All right, coming up on Friday, there is a book signing to benefit the Backstretch Employee Service Team, and kind of near and dear to the hearts of food lovers in Saratoga. Hattie's Cookbook book signing.
Yes. Yes, I have not seen the cookbook, so I can't tell you about the recipes in it. But if you've been to Hattie's, you know there's got to be some, got to be fried chicken. It's on the cover. Got to be some really yummy stuff in there. So the cookbook is probably a good enough reason to show up in and of itself. But even better, a portion of the proceeds, the books will be available for sale that day, and a portion of the proceeds will benefit the Backstretch Employee Service Team, which provides a variety of services to Backstretch workers: medical clinics, eyeglass clinics, shoes, counseling of all sorts. So a very, very, very good cause to support.
And the book signing is at the Jockey Silks Room at 2 o'clock on Friday. And if you're not familiar with this, how do we describe
It's noon to 2. It's noon to 2.
Oh, yeah.
The book signing.
Yeah. Don't show up at 2.
Don't show up at 2.
Up at
The Jockey Silk Room, I mean, it's really hard to miss, but it's on the main pathway when you come into the track from Union Avenue. It's there on the right.
And it's, if you've been walking around the track, there are the windows with the Jockey Silks showing in the windows.
It's actually, it's right across from the Walk of Fame.
Perfect explanation. And if you can't find it, ask a track employee. They'll point you right in the direction. Noon to 2 on Friday, book signing that'll benefit the Backstretch Employee Service Team. And again, some great recipes from our friends down at Hattie's. Also a book signing coming up on Friday at the National Museum of Racing. This is 10 to noon. So 10 to noon you can be over at the Hall of Fame, and then noon you go over and get your Hattie's cookbook, but over at the Racing Museum at 10 a.m., here comes Exterminator.
Yeah, Exterminator, just one of the great old racehorses, was a claimer, went on to do amazing things. I think won 21 races in a row. Eliza McGraw is a great historical writer, has written several books on the history of individual horses, does some writing online as well at Race Day 360. She's really engaging and so interesting. To hear from her book is great. I haven't read the whole thing, but I've been looking at pieces of it, and she loves the old stories of horse racing. So check her out.
Friday, 10 to noon at the Racing Museum. Saturday, really want to recommend this, and it's not hard to recommend because if you're someone who's involved in racing memorabilia, hey, you can get a chance to get a lot of great trainers to sign your piece of racing memorabilia. Buy a program that day. You can walk down the line. Again, this will be in the paddock near the racing office, and it's a group of trainers will be there signing to benefit the Lustgarten Foundation, supporting pancreatic cancer research, and it's done in memory of the late Dominic Galuccio,
who sadly passed away 2 years ago after a brief battle with pancreatic cancer. Dominic, known for the races he won, as you can see here, his incredibly colorful jackets, happens to be in a purple one in this shot. And the Lustgarten Foundation doing its part to try to find some way to battle this disease, which takes a lot of people way too quickly. This is always a great event. People really turn out. The trainers support it. Guests that day at the track are encouraged to wear purple to support it. Purple is the color of the pancreatic cancer fight. So $10 suggested donation for your autographs, and it all goes to the Lustgarten Foundation.
Yeah, and you can see there from years past a great lineup of trainers, and you can walk down the line and get a million great signatures there. As I say, if you're a racing memorabilia person, this is the event for you. Saturday, 11:30 to 12:30 out by the racing office. All right. Do want to remind you also, this is kind of ongoing, but we haven't mentioned it. Party at the Post in the paddock bar on Saturdays, DJ after the races. It's a lot of fun. If you want to let traffic kind of move away and enjoy a few extra minutes at the racetrack. I know you're a fan of the paddock bar. I'm a fan of the paddock bar,
Who
too.
is not? Yeah, it's great. And you can do a little dancing, listen to the DJ, get some snacks. Beth from Del Mar. No reason not to go. It's great.
Absolutely. Also,
and that's every Friday night.
Yeah, and Saturday.
And Saturday.
Yeah, it's a weekend kind of thing. Paddock bar after the races. Also on Saturday, our friend Brian Bouye, the communications director over the National Museum of Racing, he's going to have a book signing. His book, Bare Knuckles and Saratoga Racing, The Remarkable Life of John Morrissey. That'll be at the Racing Museum 9 to noon on Saturday.
Yeah, picked up the book the other day down at Lyrical Ballad. If you haven't been to Lyrical Ballad, make sure you stop there.
New book at Lyrical Ballad?
I did.
Hard to believe.
I know. So I picked that up, started reading it the other day, Brian's book, and his affection for John Morrissey, the man without whom Saratoga Racecourse probably would not exist, comes through in every line. He was a fascinating guy, loved Saratoga, had such a controversial past, went on to be a senator, and died at the Adelphi Hotel. Saratoga was his adopted home. So pick it up, support Brian. who does such a great job over at the Racing Museum and really loves Saratoga history.
This Saturday at the Racing Museum, 9 to noon, you can get that book signed. Low roller contest, I want to remind you, coming up Sunday and Monday, the low roller. Oh, man, I was $12 away from my money position in the last race. I've been floundering in the low rollers all year. $12 away, and I couldn't hit the last race. So.
And that's Saturday, Sunday, Monday this week. So.
Oh, okay. Because I knew there were a few
Yep.
Saturdays. So Saturday gets tossed in as well. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yep.
But they're a lot of fun. $40, 10 goes into the prize pool. You play with 30 during the afternoon. It's highly recommended. It's a lot of fun, the low roller contest. All right, coming up a week from yesterday, there's golf at McGregor Links to benefit the TRF and the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund, hosted by our friend Rich Migliori.
Yeah, so it's a nice way to spend your dark day. Registration is at 10 a.m. up at McGregor, just a few miles outside of town. There's an award ceremony. You can also go just for cocktails and the luncheon if you don't want to golf. There's pricing information at Brooklyn Backstretch, and you can reserve online as well.
A couple of good charities benefit. Also do want to remind, we've talked about Old Friends up at Cabin Creek and Old Friends in total with our friend Michael Blowen the other day, but they have an event coming up there as well. Will's Way 20th Anniversary Travers Lunch at Old Friends at Cabin Creek, so keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And as I noted at the top of the show, we wanted to alert you to, and we'll have you in the meantime next Wednesday, but we wanted to remind people, because if you want to get tickets, keep it in mind and mark your calendar. We had Michael Dubb in with us on Sunday, and we already talked about this event, but the Belmont Child Care Association, Anna House, they do great work for the kids, the backstretch workers, but really annually one of the most popular parties in Saratoga. That's going to take place a week from today.
Yes, and I'm on the board of the Belmont Child Care Association. I'm honored to serve on it. You're seeing here a picture of Anna House, which is on the backstretch at Belmont Park. It opens at 5 o'clock in the morning every single day of the year to provide low-cost child care and early childhood education for the children of backstretch workers. Anybody out there who's ever needed child care, you know it's hard to find affordable child care, and certainly nowhere opens at 5 o'clock. Michael Dubb made this place happen. It enrolls 70 children. They've also developed some satellite places up here, so the Saratoga backstretch workers. And it's a great fun party. You do not have to get dressed up. It's a Cirque du Saratoga theme this year, but you can come casually, you can get dressed up. So well supported by the jockeys and the horsemen, and a terrific silent auction, things at a variety of price points, and a live auction too.
Typically, live auction, it's Wayne Lucas and Todd Pletcher usually, so that's
and Andy Serling is our MC.
Oh, there he goes. So a fun event. Mark that on your calendar. If you type in Belmont Child Care Association in Google, you can go to their website. More information there as well. All right, Teresa, we appreciated the visit as always. Folks can go to the Brooklyn Backstretch website to catch the calendar on any given day as well, and keep up with all the work you're doing in the various publications during the Saratoga meet.
That's all that too.
And beyond. So again, we'll talk again next week.
Thanks.
All right, we'll head to a break. When we come back, Dan Collins from Bonaventure Stables. So far, Majestic Bonnie, a pretty good career debut. We'll hit on that and much more right after this. Stay tuned.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Face it. Most horse racing websites are just too much clutter, too much to navigate through. Next time, log on to CapitalOTB.com. Our newly designed website is easier than ever to use, with all the information the professional horse player needs. CapitalOTB.com.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit RTN.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrow.
Together, we're loose on the lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., loose on the lead, Capital OTB.
Hi, I'm Acacia Courtney. I'm a senior at Fordham University, and believe it or not, I'm a fan of horse racing. It used to be that we would come to the track to watch beautiful horses run and maybe even place a bet. But today, competition for gaming dollars has taken over all of that. Now, fan numbers are dropping. Why is that? Because new people are not being introduced to our sport. ThoroughFan is a national 501c3 nonprofit thoroughbred fan organization that wants to change all of that. Be a part of making a difference in our sport. For just $25 a year, you can be a part of a network of thoroughbred racing fans. Visit thoroughfan.com/join for more information.
Now get all the racing information you need right on your mobile device with Capital OTB's new mobile app. Wager anytime, anywhere, right from your smartphone or tablet. Watch, wager, and win right at your fingertips. The new Capital OTB mobile app.
And it's the filly winning colours. Gary Stevens going to the whip left-handed. Just one crack though. It's winning colours. Turning in an absolutely outstanding performance. We're looking at one exceptional filly.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, we are joined now by Dan Collins from Bonaventure Stables, a partnership that's in the game. Some success certainly up here at Saratoga so far this season. We'll talk about what's headed in the second half of the meet. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
Bonaventure Stables, before we get into specifics, why don't you just give us a little overview?
Well, we're a pretty small organization. We operate between 8 to 10 horses on a regular basis. Right now we have 9 in training. And we've been in business since about 2005, and we had probably our biggest breakthrough in 2011 when for the first time we went to the Breeders' Cup.
And we have a little shot of some Breeders' Cup action that we'll get to. Before we do that, though, Bonaventure, does that tie into any alumni situations? Because I had a nice Bonaventure couple walk up to me the day after Majestic Bonnie won, and had recognized me from television. We had a great conversation, but both St. Bonaventure graduates. And I said, you know, my brother's a St. Bonaventure graduate. I'm going to have to talk him into participating. But give us the background there.
So it is. We started as a group of 4 or 5 guys who all went to St. Bonaventure. I went to St. Bonaventure. I'm on the board of trustees at St. Bonaventure. Happen to be the vice chairman of the board of trustees. And as a result, we got together and we started to play around with claiming a couple horses. They were terrible. But then we got serious about it. So about 50% of our partners have some relationship to St. Bonaventure University.
Nice. And we have the website up there. If people want more information, jump on there and you can find out all about it. As I say, my brother lives out in Colorado, and he's not a big horse racing fan, but I may have to twist his arm. Give him a good reason to come out here and visit occasionally. Let's go back. As I say, I talked to this couple, nice couple that I had a conversation with earlier in the meet, and it was the day of or the day after Majestic Bonnie, and let's take a look at her performance. July 24th, this is race number 2, career debut, number 9, will be Majestic Bonnie. Just gets up by a head at a nice price of 12 to 1. Pulled up her 2-year-old sales page. She worked a nice 10.2 before the sale. She's a sibling to Archer Hill, who won that one's career debut up here at Saratoga in 2012. So you jumped in the 2-year-old sale with a little bit of breeding, and it all paid off in this career debut.
It really did. She made a great move coming off the final turn, showed a great turn of foot coming down the stretch, and just nipped the other horse at the wire. But as the jock said afterwards, she had a lot left in the tank, so we're looking forward to her next start.
And talk a little bit about the next start.
Well, we're pointing toward the P.G. Johnson on September 1st here at Saratoga. We think that's a nice setup for the fall stakes, and hopefully we're optimistic, but a lot of people are, that we could see a return to the Breeders' Cup in end of October, early November.
And talk a little bit about Majestic Bonnie being just another one of horses you've had success with up here at Saratoga with.
We have. As a matter of fact, we've run 3 fillies as 2-year-olds at Saratoga. All 3 have won their first time out on the turf at Saratoga. We started with Royal Bonnie in 2011, Summer of Fun in 2012, and now Majestic Bonnie in 2016. And ironically, the first 2 also went on to both run in the Breeders' Cup, and Summer of Fun took a 3rd place in 2012. So we've had good success with 2-year-old fillies on the turf at Saratoga.
Yeah, and as you said, being a small partnership to have that kind of success at Saratoga, that's got to be great, because really the partnerships, it's as much the social aspect, I think, as anything. And Saratoga is all about the social part of the game. And so to win up here at Saratoga just has to be a jewel on the cap.
It is, and we really encourage a lot of new owners to become partners. We're a small organization. We've never priced a 10% share above $18,800. That's been the most expensive we've done. So we buy reasonable horses. We don't mark them up. We share in the profits just like anybody else does. It's a family-run business. My wife's the chief financial officer. My two daughters are the marketing directors. My son-in-law is one of our customer representatives, if you will. Nobody draws a salary. We do this for fun and to try to encourage other people to get involved. I'll give you one other example. In Majestic, Bonnie, we have one partnership that owns a 10% share. It's 14 guys under the age of 30. It's the first time they've ever owned in a horse, so we really try to encourage new ownership and young ownership to keep this industry going.
So they took a share and then broke that up
They took a share among themselves. We treat them as one share. I have one lead partner, if you will, who we communicate with, but everybody's on the mailing list. Everybody's invited and treated as an owner. We also hold an annual weekend here at Saratoga. This year we had 107 participants. We rented out the Gaffney's for 2 hours on a Friday night. We had an open party for everybody there. We took them out to the stables on Saturday morning, and then everybody was our guest in the paddock tent for the entire afternoon of races. So we try to treat everybody very well.
Yeah, as I say, the social aspect is just as important, particularly up here at Saratoga. And if everybody's having fun, that's what it's all about. But then you toss in great performances, and it becomes even more exciting. And I had to pull up because for any owner, and for a small group like you, this has to be just phenomenal. We're going to go back to 2012 November out at Santa Anita, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. Flotilla is going to win this race. What's the chances we'll run second? But it is number 2, Summer of Fun, running third at 43-1. Way to place in a Breeders' Cup race just has to be fabulous.
It was a pretty special experience. We were just hoping to have a great race. She had a little trouble in the race. Ramon Dominguez said we clearly would have been second if he could have gotten out a little earlier. But finishing third in our second appearance at the Breeders' Cup was amazing. And I'll tell you, when the ESPN cameras came on us, we were probably celebrating more for our third place finish than the winners were.
And it's just, as I say, that's what you shoot for, obviously, in this game, and to wind up out there. I'll also note, I was pulling up your career stats, 2015, and this doesn't include, because your partners in horses, so Equibase kind of parses those out, but just under the Bonaventure name, last year, 2015, 47 starters, 11 wins, 6 seconds, 5 thirds. That's a pretty good season.
It was a pretty good season, and you know, we're in the money about 45 to 50% of the time with our horses. We run a limited number of horses. Obviously, if you've only got 8 or 9 in training, you can't run 150 times. So we choose our spots carefully and wisely.
Yeah, and again, it's to have a small partnership like that, to put up numbers like that, to have the record at Saratoga you've had, just phenomenal. Pulled up some training video. I mentioned I pulled up the 2-year-old sales page earlier. I tied it into Majestic Bonnie. It's not Majestic Bonnie. It's your horse that's coming up later. I had the sales page for Majestic Bonnie here someplace too. But the one I was referring to is the horse you'll have, who when we talked, you said likely to start at this meet, going with Leah Giamatti. You bought this horse at a 2-year-old sale earlier. This is the one, worth 10.2, sibling to Archer Hill, who, as I say, won its career debut up here at Saratoga in 2012. Talk a little bit about this purchase from Ocala earlier this year that you plan to have. And as I say, we have some training video, I think, of this one from that 2-year-old sale. Talk about this one, who we'll see later in the meet, perhaps.
This is a filly by Discreet Cat. We've named Alley Oop. You'll see a common theme. A lot of our names are either around Bonaventure or basketball. But Alley Oop is a great filly that we purchased at the sale. Leah is very, very excited about her. She's very, very quick in the morning, and we expect her to run at the end of the meet. I think the filly race is on September 5th. So she's a New York bred as well, so I think you'll be hearing a lot about her.
All right. Alley Oop coming up, mark that. And just before we move on, Give us the philosophy as far as your horses, what you're looking for when you buy horses and form the partnerships.
When we look for horses, we look for two things. Right now, we're concentrating primarily on fillies because we believe they have value off the racetrack as well. So you'll see a lot more fillies. We also have about 50% of our horses are New York breds. We really are committed to the New York bred industry and to participating year-round in New York. And we tend to prefer turf runners for some reason. There's no science to that, but we do. We look for reasonably priced horses with good pedigree. So we're looking for horses we just purchased a horse here on Sunday night at the New York Bred sale. It's a filly. It'll be a turf runner by Lonro, the Australian champion. We're really excited about him, or her, excuse me, because she's got great bone structure. So, and we look for something that's reasonably priced. If it's a yearling, we look for the $75,000 to $100,000 range. If it's a 2-year-old, we're looking in the $75,000 to $125,000 range because we want to keep all of our partnerships affordable for everyone.
So you say you look for fillies because of their added value. Do you keep and breed, or do you sell at the end of the career?
So we do a little both. Some are fun. We sold at the end of her career. And we got a great price for her. We got about $375,000 for her. She won about $350,000. Partners put in about $15,000 apiece.
That's pretty good.
So they got a pretty good return on that investment. We just retired a horse up here recently, #Bonnie, who unfortunately wasn't able to break her maiden. She had a throat problem. She's by Henry the Navigator. We've got her on a farm up here in Saratoga County, and we will breed her ourselves this fall.
And talk a little bit about, you say you like the New York Bred program, but where are you based as far as running, and who are your trainers?
So we use 3 trainers. We use Leah Germati, who is based in New York all year long. We also use George Weaver, who runs at both Belmont and Saratoga. Does have a string that he keeps at Aqueduct, but he does go to Gulfstream for the winter, so we're able to take advantage of some of the turf activity. And we're also now using Jeremiah Engelhardt, both for the horses that we have to run at Finger Lakes and also here in New York. So we use 3 really young, aggressive trainers that are well respected in the industry, and trainers that treat our owners equally. They have no idea who owns 20% and who owns 1%, but everybody's welcome at their barns at all times.
Sounds good. And again, we'll look for Alley Oop later in the meet, Majestic Bonnie to come back in the PG Johnson, so we'll be able to see some more Bonaventure Stables runners. But again, remind people you're happy to get some new partners in. There's the website address, and talk a little bit about, before you go, folding new folks into the game.
Yeah, we're always looking for new people. We'll take them out to the stables in the morning. We'll give them a tour. We'll have them spend the day with us at the races and get to understand the game. We do have a few shares left in Alley Oop. It's the only horse right now that we have shares available, but we will be setting up a partnership for the Lonro filly in the coming near future. And we usually introduce anywhere from 2 to 3 horses per year. So we keep it a pretty low key in that regard, but we're always looking for new people. We're welcome to go to our website, send me an email, and we'll get right back to you.
Sounds good. And of course, you can look for Dan walking around the track and say hello to him as well. Perhaps in the winner's circle. We'll keep our fingers crossed on that, because we wish you a lot of good luck going forward. And I will say, I like Lonro as a sire. For folks who aren't familiar, a really top runner down in Australia, off to a good start here. So good luck going forward there.
Thank you very much.
Dan Collins from Bonaventure Stables. We'll head to our break. When we come back, it will be Ernie Munick. We'll talk a little racing for this afternoon. Stay tuned.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB television network.
It's where dreams are born and champions are tested. Saratoga.
And the excitement of Saratoga is now at your fingertips at CapitalOTBBet.com. Wager any place, anytime on all your digital devices. Watch live racing, get past performances, bet online on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. Now for Saratoga, it's Bet 100, Get 100. Open a new Capital Bets account, bet $100, and get $100 cash back. And don't forget to download our new mobile app, CapitalOTBBet.com.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
on.
Not at the track and not near a computer? No problem. Wager with Capital OTB's Touchtone Wagering System and you'll never get shut out again. Capital OTB's Touchtone Wagering System is quick, simple to use, and guarantees your wagers are accurate and placed on time. For more information, visit CapitalOTB.com or call Capital OTB's customer service hotline at 800-292-BETS. Capital OTB's Touchtone Wagering System. Never get shut out again.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back. And look who's here. I've been trying to get him the whole meet. We've had him by phone. He's kind of a semi-regular when we're down in the studio in Albany, but one of the busiest guys on the racetrack, Ernie Munick. He's over sitting in with Andy doing some handicapping during the meet, running around with the video camera. You've probably seen him doing video features and whatnot. But finally got him over here. Good morning, Ernie.
Good morning. This is a big deal. This is a
Yes.
big deal. You are a national treasure, at least to me. All you do for the game in so many different ways. So thank you. And this, I'm going to brag about this to my friend. Woohoo! I'm treasuring every second.
I appreciate it, and we're happy to have you back here. As I said, I've been trying to get you the whole meet. Talk a little bit about the video work you do, though, before we get into looking.
I'm really a B-roll guy. That's the super stud here. The top of the video crew here is Joe Calderon.
Yeah.
So Joe Calderon does spectacular work. So we need B-roll. For people who don't know what that means, there's a feature and stuff, and you just need background footage or marketing stuff. I'm doing that, but I'm having so much fun. You can't complain. It's straight work, but where else would I rather be?
And is the stuff you're doing getting plugged into the afternoon?
Into the either
Saratoga
MSD
Live
or Fox or whatever they're using, sometimes or not. It's there if they need it. It may be used down the line. It may be used in a marketing capacity. Whatever it is, I'm out there getting as much as I can to try to move forward, video and something.
No, as a guy who used to own a video production company in town and haul around the camera myself, I appreciate when I see you and Joe running around getting the video work. But we're going to tap into your handicapping side today and get some ideas. And you picked a couple of races. I'm intrigued to see where you're going to go. And we're going to start things out with the 6th race today. Maiden Special is going a mile and a 16th on the grass. I was on the handicapping show earlier. The race goes through to Lanita. I had to put that one on top. It's Chad Brown. I thought Street Strut from Mott and Bobby Flay could be interesting. The dam sold for $1.3 million in November, so I think there's some breeding there. And with the second career start, might move forward. And then Giovanna Blues also intrigued me in the second career start. But what did you see in race number 6?
I'm very close to what you're looking at. Street Strut's interesting because there wasn't much pace in that race last time, and it was a first shot and took that first turn very well, but it was, I thought, really handicapped by a lack of pace and still finished very well. Also a bad post last time. Draws much better today. There is that improvement from the first to second start from Mott almost always.
Yeah.
So I think it's very, and also you just with that pedigree, she's going to get better and better and better. So I'm definitely using Street Strut. Giovanna Blues ran extremely well first time out. I really love when Johnny V rides back a horse he rode first time out, because very often you can in real time see the education the horse is getting with Johnny V first time out. Legitimately, I'm not saying there's any hanky-panky going on, but you can see the horse might get in trouble, and he doesn't want to put the horse where he or she shouldn't be. And this horse closed the gap on a horse who came back to win next time out, on leave, a talented shug horse. So the problem is the price. I think Giovanna is going to be fairly, and trained by Michael Dickinson, so we know what kind of, the old
mad genius.
Thank you, exactly. So we have to respect that for sure. Chad's horse, I don't even have to tell you. You've already laid it out. Obviously a player, an interesting horse to me. I don't know if she's a 1 or 2 turn horse, but she is bred to be a 2-turn horse, and that is number 7, Short Squeeze. She only run once. It comes out of a race that was won by a hard-spun filly who's got some talent, Port McGee. And she finished well. She didn't finish great, but she's a half the last gunfighter. She's a lemon drop kid. There is just no doubt that the pedigree there is for her to keep going. Now, you watch her first race, and maybe doesn't look like such a... But I have to think that second time out, Brian Lynch, The rod rides her back. She's coming out of a sprint, so she may have some speed in a race that maybe is not loaded with speed. Is an interesting player. I'm going to include her in my mix. Hopefully going to get a good price.
Yeah, as you can see, I had her down in the 6th position, and usually I don't go that far, but it got down to the bottom, and there was a bunch of horses, including Short Squeeze, that I thought kind of intriguing, which means I'll look at the odds and maybe figure out the play from there.
Sure.
The 9th race today is the Bolton Landing. It is the feature race of the afternoon. I said earlier, I think this is a very fun race. I went with Heartspoke just off the last workout for Larry Ravelli. If we can believe that, I think this horse, when they hit the first turn, may be saying, catch me if you can. Second spot, I used Lull, who I thought put in a pretty solid debut, and then Big City Dreaming, who you draw a line through that Royal Ascot race. The turf condition that day and whatnot, the 2 U.S. starts were pretty good. But I think you can make equal arguments for at least 2 or 3 others in here. But I had it 8, 7, and 1. What did you think?
I'm being a bit of a wise guy in this race. I'm going with China Grove, whose last race was a little bit inexplicable. You look at her other performances, her other 2 races, they were so strong. And last time, the early pace was fast, but she relinquished easier than I would have wanted. I'm wondering if she bled. I do not know. She has Lasix today.
Lasix.
Her other races, I really liked her previous 2 races. She's got one thing going for her that the others do not. She seems amenable to rating. There are, at least on paper, you never know, they're young and they can change race to race, a lot of one-dimensional speed. That's what we've seen so far. One horse, if she can revert to the 2-back race in a race that is clustered with speed horses, and she's got some grass in her picture. By a city zip, but her second dam was a grass winner. Jose Ortiz, there are some sneaky things going on there. I'm going to give her another shot. And Lull was just so pretty. She's pretty, just likes to look at, let alone how good she looked first time out. And your outside horse that you've already, the Heartspoke, whose race is very interesting. You watch that race. I don't think she was getting caught that day. Even though that other horse came at her, she galloped out ahead of that horse. She was good, that horse. And Big City Dreamin' has been so fast for Chad. What a fun race.
Yeah,
I'm hoping, I was trying to find a wise guy horse, someone who can close with some grass pedigree.
And I have no argument with that, because as I say, you can make a case for a bunch in here. I think it's a fun, competitive race.
Really
so
is.
Why not
Really
take a little bit of a shot?
For sure.
Now, as I said earlier, you picked a couple of races that are intriguing to me as we went over them in the handicappers report earlier. I really want to see where you went here in the 10th. Maiden 20s, going 6. I went 8, 4, and 11, but I said earlier, the 8 Persuasion could run first, could run last. They paid $625,000. They debut for 20.
Yeah.
So clearly, but I just think the Pletcher connections, I think sometimes it's like not going to live up to expectations, so let's put it someplace where it can win, and it will almost guarantee going to move out of the barn. And so I'm using on top with a lot of trepidation. Chomsky and Alien Gray, kind of similar situations. Both seem to, I think, are going to fit at the class level underneath. But I'll be interested to see your thoughts on Persuasion.
Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, I would think they would be embarrassed if they put a horse in a spot like this and the horse ran 9th and showed nothing. That would be an embarrassment to the barn. Very often I play against these horses and they either run well or they win. Even though you think, how can particularly this precipitous type of, this isn't a drop, this is an outright entry, first time out. But remember, this 6 1/4 that they spent for him was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So they've had a lot of time. They know this horse now, and so it is certainly unnerving if you're going to bet this horse to see him running for 20,000. But if he runs to his pedigree, and what are you supposed to do? I went outside to the horse you have third. Alien Gray, for Ian Wilkes, whose horses have run very well so far at this meeting. Even though he's only got 1 win from 16 starters, he's got a bunch of seconds, he has a couple of thirds. He's been here with bad intentions, and I say that in the way Mike Tyson used to say it, so that's in a good way. He's also dropping the price in half. But his race with this Showboat, even though it was beat 8 lengths, he ran well that day, and Showboat came back to win right here. So, and draws Jose Ortiz. So that is certainly a red flag itself. I'm on Alien Gray, but all eyes, as you said, will be on number 8, Persuasion.
That's what makes this race intriguing. Where does the betting public go with Persuasion, and what does the horse do when they come under the finish line? Ernie, before we let you go, we talked about your work over on the front side with Andy doing the handicapping and on the video side, but I also want to remind people you spent a number of years with the New York Daily News doing some handicapping with them. Were those the Russ Harris years?
Those were the Russ Harris years, and going back to 1986 when I first started writing for the Daily News, and that's when I was first. This is my first full-time summer back at Saratoga, Seth, since 1989. And back in '86, I was on the backstretch. I remember being in Oklahoma with Russ and the Affirms owners. I mean, just it was an incredible. Russ was handing out Mrs. London's, and I'm like, whatever you say, Russ. Whatever you say, Russ. You know, I was 21 years old.
He was, when I got into the game, he was the guy I really focused. I mean, he was the dean of handicappers.
I mean, he was doing his own figures before there were buyer figures, and, you know, he had that advantage because he was doing the work. But I learned so much from him, and, you know, people in the business, they resented him because he picked so many wins. He moved money, and he had the ego to back. You know, he had that ego, too. But if you had the chance to sit next to him, you'd realize how good he was. You wouldn't be such a hot shot, because I was one of those people until we kicked my butt, and then, you know, then I realized that he is that good. But those were special years. Those were years when the press box was cramped. Yeah. That's when we had everyone, every which way covering this game. So I know it's sad in a way to see it is, and that's why I'm so thankful, and so many people are so thankful to have someone like you who still promotes this game, loves this game, lives this game. We need more Seths out there. That's for sure.
I appreciate that.
I really mean that.
And we need more Ernies. Having fun. That's what it's all about. Have some fun and maybe pick some winners. You're up here full time this year. You're doing some music still, or not?
There's no time
for
Lucky
music.
for them. Yeah, and I can't do the Sinatra stuff anymore. I'm not kidding. I sing Summer Wind, attendance will plummet. I'm not kidding. I'm more of a Hendrix, you know, Clapton, Stevie Ray Vaughan type of guy. That doesn't really fit the Saratoga.
Because we did our 2 morning shows this winter from Gulfstream, Florida Derby, and you were doing music down there.
Yeah, I was doing classic. I was doing my horse talk and music routine, a couple of Beatles, 2 Rolling Stones songs, then who finished second to Risen Star in the Belmont for a Gulfstream Park shirt, that type of stuff. Trivia and music. Yeah. You know, it's as if I'm in my pajamas when I'm doing that. That's the greatest thing.
Jack of all trades, our friend Ernie Munick. You can see him throughout the meet, sitting in with Andy. Maybe we'll get you in one more time if we can squeeze you.
Busy man. Listen, I've done it. I've done it. That's all, you know.
I'm going to keep after him, though, because we love Ernie. Ernie Munick, again, New York Racing Association. You can see him over on the front side. If he's running around with the camera, you can wave hello to him as well as he runs by. Thanks a lot. All right, a little bit earlier, we also had Teresa Genaro giving us an update on the calendar. Sean Clancy giving us some thoughts on the jumps for today, and Dan Collins from Bonaventure Stables. That brings us to the end of the program. I'm a minute past, so I'm going to wrap things up. Racing Across America, we're here every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Monday from 10 until 11 a.m. That means we'll wrap things up for today. Enjoy the races, cash a few tickets. See you back here tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. for the Handicappers Report.
You've been watching Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. And Woodbine Racetrack. Pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.